Welcome to Reconstructing the World with me, host Anders Morgenthaler. Today we're going to look at a building that is 90% reused concrete. This is actually the future. And I'm here with Anders Lendager, most sustainable... What the fuck? Fucking Pokemon again.
Where did you go? I was playing Pokemon.
Tricked him into being an idiot. The TikTok idiot, we call him. No, this is Anders Lendager, my good friend and most sustainable architect in the world, actually, right?
And most unsecure architect in the
right
world
now, most unsecure architect in the world. So, Anders.
I need you guys to help me with this guy.
This is a community house.
Yes.
It's called Plads 23. And why we're here today is because this is your mantra, right?
Yes.
Reuse as many materials as possible.
Yes.
So, and this is a new building area, a new build. What's called
It's a new development with a lot of housing.
Yeah, and you actually used to be here in the old days when you started out being.
Yes.
So this is like you came home to the place, and you rebuilt it with this with this fantastic reuse of material, right?
It's actually a pretty wonderful story because I used to. I mean, this was. This big industrial area in the middle of Copenhagen where all the greens came in and was distributed to all of Zealand. Yeah. So I got a super cheap office out here and I paid 3,000 crowns, which is only 500 euros for 600 square meters.
That's so insane.
And I found out that the reason why I could get it that cheap was because it was built upon a freezer of bananas. So
a freezer of bananas?
So because like bananas, when they come, they are in a super big refrigerator in Grønttorvet before they were distributed out.
So there was a freezer under this?
No, I was on first floor.
You were on first floor, okay, shit. Okay, because that would be...
Explaining architecture to you is really tough.
This is a community house, so people come here, they eat together, it's a party space, it's actually super fantastic environment. I hope it translates on how great the mood is in here, right? It's a really cool vibe.
Yeah. So one of the things that was really interesting here was that we were allowed to map the buildings out here before they were demolished.
Okay.
Because the idea was, what if we could recycle these materials for not only this building, but for more buildings. Yeah. But as many developments in this time, unfortunately, they just built it the normal way, and then it was only the materials for the community house that was saved. Okay. But because the community house is the last house you build when you do a development, the materials had to be disassembled and then wait on a plaza on a site till everything was built and then put together.
So you had this big pile of
scrap. So basically, the whole building were designed, drawn, and planned, and disassembled and put aside. So the material was out there, just lying around, ready as a kind of Lego to be assembled. Yeah. So that was quite unique here, and also unique because actually that ladder, these staircases, that wall is actually from my old office.
Oh, so we're actually standing here.
So it's part of the old materials. I know a lot of young architects, super creative, have been standing up there smoking in a very late nights doing competitions.
Not now, in the old days.
In the old days.
You were like standing here, smoking the hashish? No? Just normal cigarette? Okay.
No, I would never do that at all.
No,
we only built with weed. Hempcrete.
That's a good lesson to all the young people out there.
Do you
only build with weed? Don't smoke it. So we did an episode on us where we were out in this very Bond villa. You know, your fantastic the upcycle studios.
Upcycle studios.
Yeah.
Yes. So good point. So what we couldn't do there because it was actually casted with new cement, but recycle all the aggregate.
Yeah.
We did the same here in the flooring, and there is lots of mistakes in here. You can find wood chips and you can find plastic dowels and stuff like that. So this is a lot of ways. Here's some wood and so on. So here we use the concrete that we couldn't use other places that were damaged or so on. So this is crushed and done kind of the foundation and this slabs here.
And then you
sand it down so it looks like terrazzo. It's super beautiful and nice. But what we then wanted to test what we wanted to test was, what if we could direct recycle some concrete?
Yeah.
And in the 70s in Denmark, the concrete element factory started growing explosively. So every concrete, and that's just because when you go outside Denmark, you in situ, you cast concrete on site. In Denmark, everything's made on factories and like, moved in big elements.
Exactly. So like in your building tray that we have a lot of episodes on, that's in situ. That's
actually made in situ on site.
In situ.
Yeah.
I get it.
The course.
Yeah.
But here you start to see that this is basically old facade elements, and where you have kind of a seam, and you can see that it's elements that are these are 1.20 meters by full heights here, but they also could be taken out as 3 by 3 meters elements that could be recycled. And the interesting part was that when we started disassembling these things, it was almost like that they were made for disassemble. So usually
they came apart pretty easy, or
you can see that I would not say easy, but compared to just demolishing and crushing everything, you can see like the corners are quite beautiful, and there is not that many kind of mistakes in what we've taken out.
No.
And the concrete here, which is really interesting, this was full of pollution. So it was full of PCB, which is
shit.
So the thing here was we wanted together with our clients to test one thing, and that is
how can we get people to grow an extra arm living with poison? That was a great idea.
So when
people came from like the comic world said, "Fuck you, we already did this," and you had to do another plan, right? Yeah.
Can someone help me here? We're trying to really come up with something brilliant, and now it becomes these crazy AI drawings that he wants to do all the time. It's not part of our...
I'm gonna do actually here's an AI of a person exposed to the original plan, growing extra arms, which was then cut. But
But get back to the point.
Yeah.
So would it be possible? Usually, the reason why recycling has taken such a long time to accelerate is because everyone thinks there's hazardous materials and toxic chemistry in all building waste, which is not true. It's under 5% of a building that has, if it has anything, it's around some window, it's specific places.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, we wanted to see, could we actually use something that was toxic? And what we found out was we could sand it down, just simply sand down the kind of the surface of the concrete, and then we could get the PCB out. We could also heat it up. That's another way. So we made an oven, kind of like a container where you could put the concrete or the wood in, and then it would force the chemistry out.
Okay. So,
and then we would be below the margins of what would be allowed to build with. So this is all clean.
This is a great example of how you turn it. This used to be really ugly building.
Yeah,
right?
it was a horrible building, super ugly industrial building.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is that most of these 70s prefabricated concrete structures, they had these patterns just to look a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
And today we're not even doing that. No. So they're full of detailing, and the crazy nice thing here is that mistakes are all of a sudden part of the pattern.
Yeah.
So, holes like this is an old where it was, something was sitting here, also here.
Sign.
This one is nice too, right? Small plugs, cracks, and so on. And it creates a link to the past, even though it's a new building.
And also funny thing is that by having these elements, suddenly you have room for wiring, which is like, hey, this looks cool.
Yeah, it's like
hey,
well thought of. And also the acoustic paneling, because these parts were, this you can see that this is a groove that was in the concrete.
Yeah.
So it's not something we designed, it was just there, then we fitted the acoustics into it.
And actually, maybe you can get the feel with the close-ups, but it has a super nice feeling.
Yeah.
It's hard, but it's still a little softy, right?
Yeah.
And so you got all the chemicals out of that.
Yeah, and normally maybe it's difficult to see, but normally this is just a super smooth concrete surface, and here you can feel that it's more like sandpaper, and that's why we removed that part.
And that was a conscious choice, right?
It was a conscious choice because we needed to get rid of the PCB, and then it came, I think, as a surprise for all of us that the concrete came out so nice. I mean, it looks like new, and this is 70 years old.
And this is free from poison now, of course.
Well, not where you have the hand.
Cut to another AI drawing where I have 10 arms.
And no brains.
No brain. I'll write that. Make Anders Morgenthaler 10 arms, no brain. Let's see what comes up.
Yes.
This is amazing, Anders.
It's really
nice space. It has this, and this contains a big kitchen, and so
So exactly. So the idea was here that you should be able to have weddings, birthdays, but also that you can come here and eat when you don't have time to make your own food and so on.
Yeah.
So this is supposed to be kind of a help for the community here, and also when you look out, we can't see that now, but all the buildings around here are new.
Yeah.
There's not one single recycled material. No. There's not one single element that tells the story about where Grønttorvet or what it used to be. No. The only kind of memorial that's left is this. So it's pretty crazy that the building has become kind of just a museum of what was here everywhere, basically.
And so I think a very important thing in this building, and why we wanted to take a tour of this building, is that by reusing, not recasting, by reusing this, this is, I think you said a 90%
CO2 reduction. And I mean, if we had to cast new concrete to make the core, then I mean, here we cut it out and we moved it from over there to in here with a kind of a 6-month gap or a year's gap where it was just lying and waiting. So the energy used, basically, what we have used of energy is to kind of use a crane to get it out. Move it over here and then sand it down, so that's the energy, and then move it in here and kind of bolt it into a frame.
And so look at this space when you come out here. It's super cool, man. So fucking hip. And so
you want to go up to the hip plateau?
I want to go to the plateau, because what's also happening here is that you tried to reuse the steel, and you could reuse some of it, but not all of it, right?
No, we actually. One of the things that the reason why they're blue is because the steel structures from the old buildings were these blue industrial buildings, from a farm barn or something like that. And we actually designed it with the ones that we had. But they were only designed to kind of have the strength to have a thin kind of steel roof. And then when we came with insulation and all the stuff we needed on top, and it's also a green roof,
let's go
then they weren't strong enough. So we only used some of the steel, and the greenhouse over there, as you can see, that's all recycled steel. So here we actually succeeded, and you can maybe, I don't know if you can film it, film photographer, cinematic, TÜV. This one over there is, you can see it's a really strange roof structure, right? So it's thin and it has a small break. We have to go over there and see it.
Because you said one thing about, just take a look at the concrete again. Just look at the space here actually with the bar. And
see, and then something happens when you move in, like up to this space, and you're able to kind of look out and see this again, right? So you see that it is this base.
The thing is here, again, I can feel that the way you work is that you plan with the materials, right? You're planning with the materials. I think it's super great.
And also here the floors this is all waste wood. That's, we talked about these things actually from the chapter in Træ. And this is one of the first larger floors that we did with Made Again, who delivered these beautiful floors. And now they've been here for some years, and you can see them, they still look good.
And you also have this, the thing is, a space like this can usually become really, really annoying in terms of acoustics. But you put in all this reused PET, right? And it has, so the room feels extremely
cozy and nice.
Again, right? I need to say that the way you use material, Anders, is fantastic because
Thank you.
You create these rooms which is obviously super sustainable, but they're also extremely pleasant to be in.
That's so nice to hear.
I think it's important to people knowing that you know. I think I sometimes still feel that people think that reuse material, or
it doesn't look good,
no,
or
it doesn't look good, and you need to give up some comforts and stuff like that.
And it's a very good point, because we actually discussed it on a new project that we are looking at, where how important isn't it, like if you do a building that looks terrible or people don't want to use, then no matter how sustainable it is, if it only have a lifespan of 10-15 years or no one uses it, if it's empty, then it's really difficult to claim that it's a super sustainable building, right?
So how much of the mass of this building is reused?
Yeah, I can say that the facade here is probably around 30-40% of like the material in a building around there, and that's all. Most of it is glass, and that's all new glass. So it's thermal-wise or energy-wise is compliant with a new building. Yeah. So I think 60% of the building here is recycled materials, like the whole foundation here, the whole core, and also the windows from the outside, which is these concrete windows as well, but not the glass. So we're not as high as we could, especially because of the steel needed to be new steel. Yeah. And steel is a super intensive material, right?
Yeah, but
from
still,
energy.
But still, again, what we're trying to tell on this channel, Reconstructing the World, is that we need to move in steps, right?
Yeah.
We need to say, okay, if you want to go totally sustainable all the time, it's not possible. You're going to shoot yourself in the foot. But what you're striving to, and what we're seeing in buildings that is actually functioning, is that you strive to say, okay, let's take out the big element here. And like in the upcycled studio, you took out the window and the concrete. Yeah. So and I think that is a really important lesson here, right? Yeah. That you don't need to go 100% sustainable all the time. You need to say, how can I want to work with a paradigm, also in terms of greenwashing. I was at this greenwashing festival. It was not a greenwashing fucking festival. It's not like, hey, how to greenwash, right? But it was a festival about how not to greenwash, or anyway. And they asked me, okay, so what's the line between doing good and greenwashing? And I said, I think it's about proportion. You need to proportionally be more good than bad. If you are proportionally based on a bad business and doing some green, that's greenwashing. But here, you're proportionally more green than you are bad, and that
hopefully,
is. I hope. I feel that needs to be the paradigm shift, because those people are going to give up, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Let's go look at the outside, because it's raining, so it's really boring. Okay, so what I love is that we're going to take the last look at the greenhouse over here.
Also the facade.
Yeah, exactly.
But also this.
That's my... Jesus fucking Christ. After so many episodes, how can you ruin my big setup every time? Look at how they kept this. And actually, because everything is new here, the feeling of having this corridor is really nice.
It's the nicest espalier in the world.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and this is actually where they were trading all the greens. So this is the reminisce.
Oh, this was the space.
Yeah. So this one, and it was going like all the way to. You can see them over there as well.
Yeah.
That's how big the building was. So it would actually span all the way over here.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot. So as you can see, the facade here, this is also recycled concrete that was full of PCB and bad things. And at that time in the 70s, we would even cast concrete window frames.
We're nuts about
crazy.
70s, they're nuts about concrete.
So
it's like, hey, let's do more concrete. Let's do it.
Can't have enough. So this is not in use yet, but the idea here was that we what we hope is at some point, the restaurant over here, they will be producing greens in here. That was the idea. And then we wanted to do this super rough kind of greenhouse, but quite big. So you can see the steel here looks way more rough, because that's the recycled steel beams. And I really like that these, you can also, it's kind of seeing that one over there before they put more insulation in here. So this is concrete elements stripped down, the direct reuse of steel stripped down. So this is basically the structure. It's pretty cool.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
I've seen these buildings where you have a greenhouse and then you build a building within.
Inside, yeah.
Could this be this?
Absolutely.
This is an amazing space. Imagine that you had like a long building with with your bedrooms and all this.
Yes.
And you could live in there, and then in the winter you could have like super cozy, and your plant would survive. And the heat from that would probably heat this a little bit. And in the summer it would be fucking amazing. Sorry.
And spring and fall it would be even better. Especially in Denmark. So like in the summer it's always pretty hot in these types of projects. But here, spring and fall, that's where this would really work. Now it's winter here in Denmark, so it's cold.
Actually a really nice space, huh?
Yeah.
And this is like nearly all is recycled, right?
Yeah, everything here is recycled, except, again, the glass, which is a lot of it. And we had hoped to recycle the glass and use waste glass, and that would have been possible. But here the client wanted to be sure that the glass was working and was new, so that was the easy cut. So I'm sorry, the glass is new.
But it's still, what we just established, we need to establish the greenwashing rule.
Yeah.
The greenwashing rule is proportionally more reuse and new business than old business. And I think what is so important here is that the project has been about showing something that we are not doing, and then seeing if it was possible, and making a steel structure, redesigning the shape of it. You can see it used to be shaped differently, like a normal shed roof storage building, and now it's something different. Using the concrete again, all these things that are moved, that is to push the agenda for what can be done, and here it was even contaminated. So I think design for disassembly, recycling of concrete elements, cleaning them down and using steel as recycling is what this building is doing, like as one of the only things. And then remember the whole cultural heritage. I mean, when we do these things, cultural heritage is not a sculpture. It's not a building with stucco. We are way past that post. We have to save all buildings and rethink how we can use and create value out of things and materials that we consider being waste or have no purpose, because they have a cultural anchoring in where they were born. Yeah, and the thing is, you can feel immediately that this space has more story, and all the left out structures of the original building actually give this area a lot of life compared to other development parts of these developed city. But Anders, again, fantastic to see this body of work that you do, that you really, really never give up. You always want to push the barriers. And I think this is why you should follow the channel. You need to go nerdy on this shit, right? And so thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon with another Reconstructing the World. And I hope we can get another most sustainable architect in the world. But the problem is, he is the most sustainable architect in the world, so there's more chance that I'm not going to be your host next time, which would be problematic because I'm also super great. See you guys.